Hi, and welcome to the weekly predictions based on astrology for the week of June 7, 2021. In terms of the stock market predictions, I think Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are going to be up days, and then Thursday and Friday are going to be down days. And by stock market, I mean primarily Dow Jones and NASDAQ. And in terms of the general sort of mood or theme for the week, I think Neptunian matters, meaning things like oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, as well as water, navy, water pollution, and other things that are related to things like photography, music, videos, beverages, etc. Those are the themes that are going to be a little bit featured more prominently in the news this week. And let's see. On basically even the entire week, 7th through the 13th, but then especially the 10th through the 13th, and that's globally, but as well as for the US, may see some important announcements in those domains. So maybe some increased news about, say, negotiations or deals or sales, or unfortunately maybe some problems with transportation of related goods, of, say, transportation of oil, or of some pharmaceutical, or problems with bad weather that may be disrupting the maritime transport, or perhaps even, again, more news about like hacking of some of the related businesses. And if indeed there are negotiations or contracts or any agreements that are being sort of pending at this time, and that could be related to these Neptunian domains, such as, again, oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, but it could be really related to any other kind of a contract or sale. Unfortunately, this week, there's a greater probability that these contracts may either not be reached, or if things are signed, indeed, that some info may be missing, or there may be some misinformation, or something that needs to be, revised later because some details were entered incorrectly. Again, it doesn't have to be on purpose, but it could be just that things are just not available at this time, or again, there's lack of clarity and somebody just made a mistake. But basically, this is not the best week to sign sort of on a dotted line, and if one has to enter into some sort of a contract, that's something that's important. It's really important this week to make sure that things are inspected thoroughly and all the details are entered and there are no omissions or misunderstandings. Let's see, for the US specifically, the 7th of June looks to be an important day where early in the morning, especially pre-open, there might be some optimism or some hopeful news related to international agreements, immigration, long-distance travel and shipments, or some international expansion. So basically, positive feeling about kind of relationship with international partners or expanding business internationally. And there may be some hopeful news about, or some news about basically expecting positive outcomes if there's an agreement pending, again, some international agreement or some deal that is going to help expanding things sort of internationally, that those will be reached in an amicable fashion, or there will be projects that will bring increased earnings. However, this upbeat sort of expectation may fizzle by the afternoon. And as I mentioned, generally this whole week, there will be a lot of focus on things like oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, etc. But then for US, for the same days, basically this entire week, is going to see focus on similar domains, and especially around the 10th, but also, I guess, through 13th, but around the 10th, I would say there may be some important announcements about either some new projects or some negotiations may be heating up, where, again, it could be a sale, it could be a deal, or if there's like a problem with transportation, then things need to be resolved. And again, the resolution may not be clear as far as what the solution should be, or there may be some disagreements about the exact approach. And again, this could be because of there's a bad weather, or just the partners don't see eye to eye on the value of certain approaches, or literally there's some report that maybe was supposed to come out and it hasn't come out just yet, and so the details on it are not available. At the same time, again, for the US, this whole week, especially 10th through the 13th of June, may see increased focus on various activities that are typically considered risky or dangerous. So maybe like gambling, casinos, of course, stock market, but also sports, especially things like racing or any sort of sports that involve, I don't know, jumping with parachute or something that is, again, a little bit more extra dangerous or risky than usual. And also anything related to military weapons and things like that. And those areas, there may be some focus on themes like safe communication and transportation, as well as reducing volatility. So if there's volatility like in the stock market, there may be some increased negotiations about how to ensure that basically the volatility is reduced, or to make sure that people can, I guess, gamble their whole, life away, or if there is, some sports events, to make sure that things occur in a safe manner. But also there may be focus on communication as well. So maybe for, say, online communication or online apps or social media, there may be focus on things like how to prevent or basically block bullies, for example. So basically the issue will be how to make sure that things can move forward. So there is communication, transportation, that things are proceeding as needed, but things are done in a safe manner. So maybe the soldiers are protected, the cars are safe to drive, or like I said, journalists are safe, or social media influencers, again, can express themselves freely without being, again, somehow in some sort of danger. So basically there's going to be this focus in the US this week on those kind of issues. Then globally, June 9th through 11 may see important announcements about or from leaders, like maybe CEOs or, I don't know, politicians or actors, etc., in the areas related to retail sales, IT, and communication, transportation businesses. So it could be like social media, car manufacturer, some company that manufactures phones or airplanes, etc. So a leader from one of those areas may be in the news because, again, maybe there's a change in leadership, and perhaps it may involve female leaders, or maybe there will be some new projects announced that yet again are focusing on ensuring kind of improved, on the one hand, improved, I guess, efficiency of these businesses, but with focus on specifically making things safer. So like I said, maybe preventing vehicles or batteries from overheating, protecting children from cyberbullying, or somehow reducing, environmental pollution. So safety could be in terms of physical safety. Like I said, the car, has to be safe, or could be emotional safety. And again, it could be in parallel with leadership news, or it could be one or the other. Basically, focus will be on making things related to communication, transportation, or IT safer, but also making things kind of more efficient. And then to give you a glance at the next Monday, June 14th, it actually to me looks like a down day at this time, and I think there will be increased market volatility next Monday, and specifically may involve various currencies, and including cryptocurrencies. And of course, there'll be also, not of course, but there will be continuing concerns that may come up already this week, or perhaps continuing even from May, about, again, oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, etc. All those Neptunian domains will unfortunately not be resolved by next Monday, but things will kind of continue, meaning maybe problems with transportation, bad weather, hacking, etc. And additionally, for specifically US and China, 14th of June also looks significant. So for US, there may be some increased concerns about either its leadership, or leadership meaning status of the US on the global arena, value of currency, and or about earnings or stability of banks. So some, I wouldn't say concerns, but some definitely increased news about either currency, value of currency, and any sort of financial policies or banks' assets, etc. That will be for US next Monday. And for China, the 14th also looks like a significant day, where there will be increased focus on things like earnings, but also expenses or perhaps financial losses, or it could be intentional, not losses, but intentional losses, but rather investments in the areas, but investments because they need to address some issue, or first you need to spend before you can sort of recoup, the profits, and that would be related to oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, again, all of those Neptunian domains. And there may also be for China increased focus similarly about similar topics as for the US, meaning currency value and banks. So financials, currencies will be significant somehow for both China and US next Monday, the 14th, and I think that particular day may see a market down. In terms of the sort of upcoming events for the next few weeks to even into 2025, as well as ongoing background influences, those actually are the same as what I just covered fairly in depth last week. So go ahead and check out the previous week's video. That's the video for May 31st. And just to highlight only one upcoming thing, because it's coming up the soonest, that's basically the period of T-square between Mars, Uranus, and Saturn that's coming up at the end of this month and into early July. And I'd say maybe July 1st through 4th is when this particular T-square is going to be felt the strongest. And unfortunately, it's typically coinciding with things like accidents, market volatility, especially again among currencies and cryptocurrencies, and things that basically break down. So a breakdown of things that are related to maybe IT or electronics, power, supplies, and things may happen unexpectedly, and it could either lead to, say, a fire, which is, Martian kind of influence here. So maybe, of course, in the US, for example, this is a time where we'll have fireworks. So things can kind of just be overheated. Maybe something is left unattended, like maybe some chemicals from like a from like farming or construction. So if there's indeed something like that that's not been properly stored, it unfortunately can now explode, or it could be just, again, a old part that just basically doesn't function very well or overheats, and again it may lead to an accident. And with Uranus and Saturn being involved, it may be along the lines of like airline accidents or accidents involving like electric cars, electric parts, and or it may involve kind of more Saturnian influences, which would be buildings or structures that typically are perceived to be solid, maybe like a bridge or something, or just even a building, or a things that are like a tunnel. Again, doesn't have to be on that scale, but unfortunately there could be something that basically folds down that previously has been setting for a long time. And that's with this T-square between Saturn and Uranus. And just to, I guess, quickly mention, I saw that unfortunately there was this really bad accident in Pakistan where the two fast trains had collided, and that was under the Mars opposing Pluto, which is of course a dangerous transit in of itself. And at the same time, this whole month, Saturn and Uranus are going to be getting tighter and tighter into the tense square between them. And like I said, it will culminate early July when Mars will form also a tense aspect to them. But basically, I would say between this week and early July definitely is the time to be a little bit more alert and aware of your environment, and to kind of maybe be avoiding basically any sort of like risky, dangerous activities, or staying away from, fireworks when people are maybe lighting things in their houses or whatever, houses in their yard, front yards, etc. So basically not doing anything stupid like that, and you should be fine. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video, and come back and check me out next week. Until then, have a fantastic week. Catch you later. Bye.